A new session with soybeans jumping 23 cents. We are going to talk about that with analyst Jerry Gidel and also about the supply and demand estimates from the USDA released just this week on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. So, Jerry, the hot issue today is the 23-cent jump of the soybean complex.
Yes. Well, the latest USDA's number earlier this week didn't really have as much excitement to the thing as it could have, but it's really built as the week went on. And today, the soybean meal market was really the hot one today. It actually advanced above its 100-day moving average, and it also went above one of the big psychological numbers of $350 a ton here in the December contract. And that was the focal point there that kept the beans on a very firm note, firmed it back up to some of the more recent highs up in here near the 1250 level on January. It seems like that there was some rumors flying around that uh, some of the sources or some of the imports of a protein called lysine, which is really a from the corn plant that is a really important factor in some feed manufacturing situations, was being curtailed from Asia. So that scenario and meant that we probably could have some additional needs for soybean meal here to finish out some of the rations that are out there from not so much the cattle industry, but mostly in the chickens and the pork and maybe turkeys, and that where that lysine helps boost protein levels without as much basic ingredients that go in there for corn and soybean on a normal basis. So that really was a big part of today's rally. To some extent, that's quite important. We're going to get a USDA update, or excuse me, yeah, a NOPA update, I should say, on Monday. That's the Soybean Association's number on Monday. It looks like it's going to be a number around 182, 183 million bushels. That's not as high as last year's 185, but still a dramatic increase from last month as the U.S. processing industry jumped pretty dramatically here this month, both in corn and in ethanol usage, because of the access to the new crop lower prices that had been previously contracted.
And on corn was not a bad situation. It jumped 7 cents.
Yeah, it came along partly because of this lysine concept, but it really was a combination of, if you don't have the 15 to 20% type protein that you can add into it, that meant that you have to use more of the 8% stuff in the corn. The wheat market also has been pretty strong this week, from the standpoint of the ideas that the Russian export tariffs were going to continue, and actually they edged up again this morning. And at the same time, there's an announcement yesterday that they were going to strongly consider or indicate that they're going to have a quota on the last half of the year here on their exports of wheat from Russia. So that really, with the numbers we had earlier this week on the supply demand, where they really didn't make any significant changes, they on the carryover stock, they decreased imports and decreased exports, so it kind of balanced things out. And so the world situation still remains the key feature in wheat, and people are quite nervous about what's going on there. Even around the world here, Australia, the other side of the world, has a lot of rain recently and has slowed down their harvest and even caused some concerns about their crop conditions. or excuse me, the quality of their wheat maybe being taken down a notch or so. And so that's been the overall leader since our numbers we had on Tuesday.
And this Friday's supply and demand report, I think, has shown that demand is very strong at this point.
Yes. Well, I think it's kind of an interesting situation. The demand levels here on corn showed an expansion of the U.S. ethanol, uh, given the fact that the USDA did edge up the crop size here by half a bushel. And that primarily interesting because of one significant state, the Minnesota, who is the fourth largest producer here in the U.S., had a significant adjustment in their state yield by 8 bushels. Really was the real factor why this production number went higher versus some declines in Illinois and in Indiana's production. But the other side of the coin on that corn is that basically we kind of got a feel that there wasn't going to be a huge increase. We got an idea where we're at, and that we're going towards the final part of our harvest here. And the weather was a little bit of rainy here at the end of the week, and so that discouraged people thinking there'd be any real harvest pressure. And so after the report here, we've had a lot of new investors, or I said new or old investors, depending on how you look at it. The fund activity jumped back in here as they anticipated a pickup in people wanting to get this corn moved through the system, get it out to the through the Mississippi by the 1st of December when the U.S. barge system starts shutting down north of St. Louis, Missouri, and that's a pretty common event at here. And so this time of year we have kind of a stronger seasonal upside, and so the combination of not any significant changes in the numbers of the crop, like as we mentioned, and the corn going up to only half a bushel, and beans actually went down 0.3 of a bushel. The carryover stocks didn't change a lot, particularly the one in beans that really had everybody's really wound up last week that we're going to have numbers at 400, up from 320, maybe even 420 this time around. Well, we didn't have an increase in the crop size, and we actually had just a modest decline of 40 million in our exports in the number. So the change in the monthly situation is only 20 million. That kind of helps provide stability, and then the demand size, like you mentioned, has really come to the forefront. Nothing unusual. That's what usually happens this time of year.
And by what you are saying, I think perhaps this rally will not be sustained over time.
Well, I think that the rally has we're coming up towards some interesting numbers here. This 1250 zone and in January is an important area. It might be able to go up a little bit higher than that. Maybe another, I don't think we're going to see $13 from there in the short term here because, South America is still off to a very good start, and we still haven't got any real major stress going on in southern Brazil and Argentina from this year's La Nina. On the corn side, the wheat and corn are kind of tied together here, with wheat's concerns as people want to try to get that together here. It's not unusual as we go into the northern hemisphere here, and that people like to get some of these grains closer to their home and have access to them and not have to worry about transportation. And I think that's featured there. We did move through $8 here on both Kansas City and Chicago this week. And so it's an area that's important. I'd have to be a little cautious maybe that this thing's going to go too crazy from here. But these are price points that I've suggested both in the all three markets here, that moving up another 10 or 15% on sales would not be a bad move at this point. I think the key thing is that when we get into the month of December, we usually have pretty quiet situations. Everybody kind of calms down, getting their exports under control and their imports coming their way. And we kind of then start really focusing on South America and what's going on down there. And since there isn't any short term stress going on, that could easily have some features. But the December corn right now is not at that, just pennies away from the highs. As I said, we might still see it bump up near $6, but I think the people and producers out there kind of be a little cautionary. This thing is could run into a little problems here. We've had quite an impressive performance before the report, and then and since then we've had a really good little pop. And these are areas that producers should take advantage of the prices and get some cash under their belt before the winter.
Yep, I think you summarized everything very well. Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome. It's hopefully the rest of this November goes well, and we'll be talking next week.
Thank you.